I'm Karen DeTore. I'm the village manager. Thank you for the applause. Thank you all for coming tonight. This project started, well, it's been talked about for a long time in Ossining, the idea of what could we do to redevelop the surface parking lots at the post office and at Market Square. And the problem always was, if you redevelop them to put back what was taken away during urban renewal, the problem is, where's everybody going to park? In 2021, the Village of Ossining was awarded the Downtown Revitalization Initiative from New York State. It's a $10 million economic development grant, and that helped answer the question, how are we going to fund a parking alternative, and how are we going to develop these sites? So through that money, once awarded, we went through a very intensive planning phase. And that planning phase helped us cull down a number of projects, many of which have been on the drawing board in Ossining for quite some time. So there was a real desire to put back what was taken away during urban renewal. On Main Street. There was money put aside to redo the community center. So as you can see, that'll be the next community engagement probably, what we're doing with that funding. But we also, Olive Opera House got money for some renovations, as did the town of Ossining for the stage down at the waterfront. And the village also got money for improving Market Square, making it a totally re-landscaped outdoor gathering spot, and also working with a private developer to develop apartments and retail stores on the post office parking lots. But where to start? We need to park somewhere. So we worked with the state to come up with a concept for a multimodal transportation hub, what we like to call the hub. And this hub will not only be a place to offset the parking that we'll lose when we redevelop those surface parking lots, but it'll also provide the opportunity to have e-bike rental and hopefully evolve us to a community that does more work walking and biking. But still, for those people who are driving cars, we will have a place to park. So tonight we have our consultants from THA to talk about their plans for the multimodal transportation hub, based on information we've given them, based on information they've gotten through stakeholders, local businesses, and building owners in the immediate area. And this parking lot is going to be in the Brandreth parking lot. So on the north side of Main Street, behind Open Door and Main Street Deli, those parking lots, this is where we're going to be locating the hub. And tonight's an opportunity for the public to weigh in for their thoughts. There's a lot of really unique opportunities to make this not just your standard parking garage, but use it to accentuate and enhance the aqueduct trail, make sure that it's inviting, that it's safe, that it's well lit, and that it's attractive. And tonight is your opportunity to weigh in. But first, we'll give you a little bit of a setup and information of where we are so far with this project. And I'd like to turn it over to Reggie, and Reggie will introduce himself and the rest of his team.
Yes. Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. It's a pleasure being here in front of you. I'm glad that you came out. Appreciate you coming out. It's very important for the project and for the progress of the project. I'm Reggie Paget, and this is Julio Castillo. We are with THA Consulting. Along with us is Meredith with Langen, David, and Dominic Calgi. They're with Calgi Manage. And then we have Erica Swanson. She's our traffic consultant. Then we have JC Calderon. He is the e-bike designer. Langen is doing our landscaping. So that being said, I'll just sort of get into what we're presenting today. A good part of, like Karen mentioned, we really would like your feedback. That's what's important, because it's really not about us, it's about you, it's about the community, it's about what we are providing for you. So we want to respond and kind of incorporate many of your ideas that we received tonight within the whole overall project. So right now, we'll just give you an overview of basically what the hub is, the vision that we were able to work with the village on putting together, and this is just some preliminary concepts. We just want to show you some overview of the concept that we have, and as well as some precedent images, which we're thinking would give some direction of what ultimately you will wind up with when you go. So next slide. This slide, basically, you can go to the next one. I did the introduction. So we'll start off with initial, the project location. As you know, this is your central downtown, which is the central historic area, primary historic area. A lot of what's within this historic area, which we want to incorporate into the design, is you have historic guidelines, architectural historic guidelines that we reference. We know that there is a general three. There's a base, there's a middle, and then there's always a top. So that's kind of what we want to be able to bring into this multimodal hub as well. The project site is located not directly within the historic district, but right adjacent to it, right like in the heart. This is the heart of Ossining. So that's basically our site, and we want to respect that with as much as possible. Next slide, please. So again, what is one of the main features that really relates to this site is the Croton Aqueduct Trail. This is a very prominent feature that is people friendly, wants to interact with the e-bike folks, the folks that are going. So we're kind of addressing that as well within the design. You'll see how we approached locating the building, locating certain various things that are within it to give you that look. Also, we're just trying to showcase some of what's around in the area. Of course, we're in the community center there, so we're in close proximity to where this site is right now. Next slide. So some of the goals and objectives, and I'm trying to be brief, but trying to be thorough as well. But we really want to determine the right size of the facility for the site and the use. By doing that, we looked at the site. We said, we knew what requirements we were trying to meet for the village, and we determined what size it would be, the orientation as well of the facility, and kind of the little places within that facility that might draw, some of the public. We're also concentrating on aesthetic design. We want to complement the surrounding area with reference to the Village of Architectural Guidelines, like I mentioned earlier, related to the base, the middle, and the top. We want to try and bring some of those architectural features in there. Even though we're not directly in the historic district, we want to, at least have some respect to it. Also integrate the aesthetic of the e-bike rental facility. We're working with JC. JC's coming up with some ideas, and we want to integrate his ideas so that when you look at the facility as a whole, you might see one building that might have a certain scale, and then you see the e-bike rental facility, and then how it integrates with some of the landscaping as well. Maximize placemaking opportunities and connection to the trail and downtown areas through landscaping and improved ADA accessibility. Right now, if you know the site, it has, pretty varying terrain, and handicap accessibility is kind of maybe challenging, to say the best. There is ways that we're looking at that to kind of incorporate how you transition from our facility or your facility rather through the site and get to the areas and to the downtown through various different ways, and still provide ADA accessibility. The multimodal transportation hub to support present utilization and future redevelopment. That is what it's there for. Just as Karen mentioned before in the introduction, we're trying to promote future development, not only outside the site, but within the site. Provide adequate space, traffic flow, and access to vehicular pedestrian. We're really trying to not disrupt the traffic flow within the area. That's why we have traffic consultant. We're going to analyze and look at all this stuff and hopefully integrate that into the whole design. Plan design sensitivity adjacent properties. You have adjacent properties that you have residential scale, and they're all varying scales. You know, you have some that are 6 stories on one end, which is the downtown back of, residential area, as well as there's a lower end residential on the back end, and then the aqueduct, which you'll see in the next, and I can further illustrate that in the next slide. Design high-level user comfort. We're really trying to make the facility with a high level of user comfort. So the patrons, the folks that are using it, are comfortable going there, traversing out into a plaza maybe, and making their way to the downtown area, and comfortable coming back at any time of day or night. Opportunity for public art. We understand that the town, the village is high on art, likes art, so we want to be able to integrate that. We think it'll be a great opportunity for the community to have something that's theirs, and really be able to latch on and say, this is a part of your community. This is what it's for. And design and sustainability. That's always an issue and a key within a lot of the structures. Everything we do, really, we design to a certain level of sustainability, but we're also looking at putting some EVs in there and photovoltaic array system as well. We'll do the next. Oh, go back. It's okay. Yep. That's it. I'm sorry. Yes. So I'm usually on that side. I apologize.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So as Reggie mentioned, my name's Meredith Juliana. I'm with Langen. We're the landscape architect on the project. So we are responsible for the landscaping. Okay. Don't touch anything, I guess. Okay, well, while they're figuring that out, we're responsible for the landscaping. We're also responsible for the site design. So Reggie touched on it a little bit, but one of the things that's really significant in the village of Ossining, which I'm sure you guys all know as being residents, is that you have quite a few hills here and changes in topography. So we want to make sure that we're designing a site that's accessible regardless of anybody's physical abilities, right? I'm going to run through a couple slides really quickly. What we're focused on today, it's pretty specific. So there's a specific area attached to the outside of the hub where we, as the design team side, have a number of different ideas as to what that space could be in Ossining, and it's a really special kind of little moment along the Aqueduct Trail where it's this connection point between downtown, a couple restaurants, the trail itself, the connection to the Sing Sing Greenway Trail. There's a lot of things going on, and we can kind of see this space turn into a number of different things. And as we talked about, the point here is to get everybody else's opinions because we don't live here as much as we might want to. So if you go to the next slide, just for orientation purposes, we've changed the rotation here so that we could work on this a little bit easier. So here you see the Aqueduct Trail coming across. The community center's, over here somewhere. and then downtown is that away. So we've sort of rotated the view that we've been looking at just a little bit, because this area here that's outlined in orange is what we're imagining can turn into a plaza space. And that plaza space, any pedestrian plaza space, can look really different depending on how the site is laid out. So if you go to the next slide, there's a kind of rough outline here of where the e-bike could be located. And what we've ultimately come down to is 3 different options that we'd like to get everyone's opinions on. So we have option A for this over here, which we're calling the connection, right? Connect. It's kind of there's a key word that goes with each option. And the connect option in option A is that there's a direct connection, kind of walking, you're going straight through, you're not, sitting down, you're really more just making a straight connection from the Aqueduct Trail or from downtown into the garage space, and you're going to find your car, or you're going to rent a bike, or you're going to park a bike, any of those things, and you're sort of one-track mind. On the complete opposite end of that, I'm going to switch all the way over to option C, is what we're calling gather. So that's the vision where we're really turning this space into a full gathering space, a full plaza area, tables and chairs and lots of trees to kind of shade the space a little bit more. It becomes a little bit more of a, moment where you can meet up with friends, you can grab food at the deli and sit down, before you continue on the trail, or you can take pause in there. And then there's a sort of option that's in between those two. So that's option B here, which we're calling meander. This is a little bit more of like a combination, like I was saying. So there's a direct connection in and out of the hub and in and out of the space to get bikes and store bikes and things like that. But there's a little bit more of like a wandering kind of feel to the way that the ADA access gets you down to the garage. So it sort of meanders, makes it a great name. Below here of these 3 layouts that are, kind of posted up here, each of these has slightly different set of stairs and ramps to get you up and down. And then the diagrams below are just showing how that connection actually works. Can we go to the next slide? So I could talk over the bigger one, I guess, rather than all 3 of them put together. So we did a little bit of an enlargement here where you can see that those different layouts a little bit better. So here you can see that there'd be a walking, stair connection as well as a ramp connection that brings you down and around into a little bit more of an open space that may or may not have, benches of different styles that you can take a moment, tie your shoes before you get on your way, whatever you need to do. You can also kind of take a little bit more of a wandering path as you go up the trail. And then on the side, you see a couple precedent images of what that space might look like, a little bit more open walking areas, things like that. Benches that maybe mimic the kind of curves that are happening, that sort of thing. Flip to the next one. So same idea as we were talking about. Oh, I will not knock over the TV. There's a straight connection here to get you down the stairs, or you would take an interwoven ramp if you needed ramp access that kind of blends with the stairs. So there's no person who might need a ramp doesn't feel like they have to go to a different place in order to be able to use that ramp. We want to really interconnect any, means of transport through that space there. And then at the bottom, outside of where, the entrance into the hub and the bike storage, you see 2, a sort of round like planter area where there would be some seating around the outside of that. Same idea. You got to kind of everyone's got to stop and tie their shoe somewhere. So that's what I've been referring to that space as. And then again, you see two precedent imageries of how that might work. So here's a ramp kind of intertwined with a set of stairs versus, and then along with some areas for seating and things like that. So then last one. So then this one, like we said, a lot larger of a plaza area in this one. There's still the straight through connection. The ramp is still slightly intertwined, but it's a little bit of a different layout in order to get some more space into the plaza area. And then within that plaza, we'd have areas for tables and chairs amongst all the trees. So you'd have a nice shaded kind of area where you can really sit and take a moment. It's a little more softer space to land. So, and then I think the last slide we have is just all three of them one more time and compared to different types of seating arrangements and things like that, so you get the idea. And then we'll have little dots in the back where you can vote on your favorites. So, all right.
I'm gonna talk again and go to the next one. So I'll try and quickly get through these slides as well. As I mentioned before, there's definitely some elevations that are more appropriate to their setting. So what we're looking to do is, we know that there's more residential scale on this side, and then this side is bordering the historic central district. So the backside of residential and some retail is over here, and then you have the trail here, and then there's a little bit of a parking lot, and then there's some residential retail along here as well, and then this is just a multifamily home in the back here. So the primary, when we're talking about facade and the types of facade and things that I'm about to go into in design, this is what we're referring to and how it relates to its surroundings. We want to make sure that we address this. Can you take this, please? Thank you. We want to make sure we address this facade that reacts more to the downtown area, so it kind of looks as if it's just another portion of the backdrop. This is more of, we want to subdue this a little bit, make this less of not that much, keep it real downplayed. And then this side, we believe this is where the opportunity for the art is. This is where you really are able to integrate your art with the e-bike rental facility. And then, so what you see in the blue is what we're looking to do, and integrated with the plaza. So we think that all will flow together, and to make this more of an event. Like when you're up here, you might say, I want to go down there and be a part of that area. That's where I want to be, and respect everything that's in there. And then, next slide. So let me get into some of what our ideas are for facade treatment. Next slide, please. What our facility is going to be primarily is precast, and what you can do with precast, you'll be amazed. But all the different materials that you see here kind of relate to what it is that your downtown area has. We want to create a base, do masonry base, large openings. Then in the middle portion, maybe have some small openings, maybe like that, or maybe some large openings like that. But these are the stair towers. And then up top, we put a cornice. So those are the different types with here, and I have on our boards. We would like to get some of your feedback, what you like, if you like. But that's sort of the precast elements that we can integrate, and even some more of the form liner, precast. There's ways you can get stone look out of them, so you can get various different looks based upon what you do, and you want to play up certain key areas, like the stair towers and maybe that side that's facing the historic downtown district. There's also, on the art side of things, you can paint some of the precast. You can put murals up there But if you don't want something that's so permanent and there for so long, there's scrim that can be incorporated into the design. So there's many different scrim options that can go there, that you can light, backlight, put several different images and artwork on there that would lend itself to, you could see that right off the Croton Trail, and you're experiencing that as you're on your e-bike, and you know, it all integrates with the plaza. So if you could see that coming together, envision that's how you would integrate some of the art. Next slide, please. So, and there's another options of art. There's other ways of cladding the facility with some of the metal panels, and this is a little more extreme. I think it doesn't fit contextually, but I thought it was just important that we did show you exactly what other things that we're capable of doing within the garage. And remember this one. Go to the next slide, please. So that's this one here. So what I'm trying to just show you, illustrate here, is that this facility not only has a day presence, but it has a night presence. So you want to kind of, we're looking at, you know, ways of trying to create soft light. We don't want too much light. We want soft light, but we also want to be able to, you know, keep the area lit enough and it works so it's also a night experience. You want to experience a facility not only in daytime, but at nighttime. The reason I showed that is that because the other slide, if you were to go back one, and then go back to the front, that's that one, and that's how they use lighting to kind of give it some interest and give it something new to it. I think just little key lights to highlight some openings, maybe some sconces to light up the plaza off the facility. I think there's ways of doing that and achieving a very soft and nice look. Next. And then also some interiors, things that we can incorporate into the design when you enter, and we have places, you can go to the next one as well, the lobbies, elevator lobbies. We want to introduce color, we want to introduce, you know, a little bit of art, maybe a little bit of the numbers to identify what levels you're at and things of that nature. So I'll let JC speak about the e-bike.
Thanks, Reggie. Thank you, Reggie. So thanks again for everyone joining us tonight. I'm J.C. Calderon, Calderon Architecture. We have been thinking about the bike component, and so these are just some images, but I wanted to, I guess, reiterate what's already been said, just to make it clear that the team, I think, is trying to have a confluence of all the goals of the village in terms of like creating a special place, not just a parking facility. It is a transportation multimodal hub that will incorporate art, the path, a bicycle component, and other amenities, so that the place is hopefully going to attract attention beyond just the parking component. So one component is the bike facility. So this is just an example of a rather well-known big transportation facility in Washington, D.C., known as Union Station, right? They built this bike facility a few years ago. And it's a more extravagant version of a bike facility, but it just wanted to show it for context of what has been done in other places. This is adjacent to the traditional building, and you see it, the contrast of the modern versus the traditional. That's one of the ideas that we're going to be considering, to try to have a contrast component so that there's a visual attraction to the bike facility. And the next one. Again, we're also looking at other sort of inspirational motifs. These are precedents. These are sort of inspiring photos of potential roof lines and color images. These are images of Ecuador, where there's a lot of color in the architecture. Ecuadorian community is a big part of Ossining, and the village is cognizant of that, and they want to acknowledge that. So perhaps we will acknowledge that in some way in the form. We're not sure yet, but this is an idea we're considering, incorporation of colors in the art that Reggie mentioned, which will be adjacent to the bicycle component. And again, potential evocation in the roof of the mountains that we talked about just earlier. Beacon, the Hudson Valley has a lot of mountains, but also Ecuador has a lot of mountains. So these are things that could have a kind of inference, perhaps, in the architecture, and also, again, a contrast to the kind of more rectilinear parking lot. So we're trying to have some fun as well. Next, please. So the bicycle component, as was said before, we thought best around here in relationship to the trail and to the facility, because this is the area we want that special moment to happen, and this we would prefer quiet. So this is where a appendage, so to speak, to the building will happen. Again, keeping in mind the importance of this aqueduct that we think the village wants to attract even more use to, and so we're hoping that having the bike path with there will attract more use and more use of the bikes as well as the path in general. Next, please. So these are just images of kind of a process to arrive at some kind of design adjacent to the facility. Again, a kind of asymmetrical or non-rectilinear plan gets developed along with some kind of a curved roof potentially. Again, these are conceptual and can change, but this is sort of where we're thinking right now. Next, please. This is, again, the intention, right, that people bike as they leave this place. Next one. I think this is a kind of little compilation of that process. You arrive and then you leave with the bike. Okay, one second. So again, the importance here is the Ossining bike path, the art, the meeting area that Meredith spoke about, and the bicycle component. So that in effect, it's not just a transportation facility for cars, but hopefully attracts the use of other multimodal venues. Next, please. So again, this is just a little more close-up. Again, we really want to connect to this in some way, create a space between, and then accentuate a form that contrasts in some way, like the Union Station does, with the building, so that people then say, "Oh wow, did you check that out? That's interesting. What's happening here?" We want some elements of surprise as well to happen as people walk by it. What's next? Next, please. And so this is just another angle. Again, the kind of form of sort of a fish-like form that's also, I think, in our mind, relates to the Hudson Valley, the river. All these things are motifs, metaphors for, why, images that we think are important to the Hudson Valley. Next thing. I think that's it. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. On to traffic, which is everyone's favorite topic, I know, because I am a traffic engineer. I'm Erica Swanson, and I'm with Swans Engineering. And my goal of today is information gathering. So whenever we design a project that has transportation or parking improvements, what we want to understand is the surrounding area and the community and what your experience is. So we want to know where you're coming from, we want to know where you're going, we want to know how you're traveling, and we also want to know why you're traveling. So what do we know about the area, right? We've been here a bunch, drive around, visit here, we know certain things. We know we've got residential areas surrounding us. Here's the project area here, here's downtown. We've got this commercial corridor that's got our shopping and our restaurants and other businesses. We've got some churches scattered around. We've got a school. We have our main thoroughfares. We've got got Croton, we've got Main Street, Route 9. We know that we have parking areas, right? We have service parking lots scattered around. We also have on-street parking. We talked about our main thoroughfares. Oh, we also know Brandreth, for example, is used as a cut-through street sometimes. So we know that sometimes these smaller streets are used as cut-through for traffic, which happens. We also have the Old Croton Aqueduct Trail, of course. So we know all of these things, but what we don't know is what you're experiencing, and that's what we want to know today. So we want to know what you're living on a day-to-day basis as far as traffic is. We want to know what your concerns are related to traffic. And then we also want to know what your hopes are for the project and for mobility. We know you guys all move, right, in some way, whether you're walking, you're biking, you're driving, you're riding the bus, whatever you're doing. So we want to understand that so that way we can take your feedback and we can use that to make informed decisions in the project moving forward.
And then last.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Dominic Calgi of Calgi Construction Company. We're the construction managers for the project. David Chen from my office is here as well. David's our pre-construction coordinator involved in the estimating and the scheduling for the project. Right now, this is a brief schedule of where we are with the project. We're in the design process right now. We have 3 design phases to go through: schematic, design development, and finally the construction documents. Once the construction documents are complete, then we will be putting the project out to bid for public bidding. Right now, as I said, we're on schedule. We anticipate going out to bid in November, mid-November to mid-December, and that would be followed by the review of the contractors, the award, and then finally construction to start in February of 2025. And right now we're anticipating a 12-month project. During the design process, our role is to work with THA and their consultants. We're going to be doing all the budgeting to make sure that at each design phase the project stays within the allowable funding that the village has, as well as managing the constructability. We'll be looking at the drawings. We'll be coming up with means and methods, and again, working with THA and their consultants along this whole path of progress. We're also going to be looking at mobilization and logistics. We're working with precast. We're going to have some very large pieces coming in. We have to figure out how we're going to get those into the site with minimal disruption to the surrounding area. We've already started looking at some parking areas off-site where maybe we can use for staging of the precast. Ultimately, the goal is to make the construction process as palatable as possible. Once we get to the construction phase, the project is a public job. There will be 4 prime contractors. We'll have a general contractor, an HVAC, plumbing, sprinkler, and electric. Each contractor will be contracted independently to the village, and our role then becomes the eyes and ears of the village as well as THA, and we will be overseeing, coordinating, managing the contractors from the start right through the final punch list of the project. And as I said, right now, everything is pretty much on target. Thank you.
So we're pretty much wrapping up. Not yet. What we have set up are 4 different stations, primarily picking back up on what we presented today. So if you want to just go to each station or come to which ones that you might, we put some dots on the table. If you want to just put a dot next to what you like. Not so much what you don't like, let's just put what you like, and then we also have some Post-its. So if you want to write down some of your comments, what you like, what you don't like can go on those, and you know, we can react to that as well. We'll put all that into a database for us so we can share with the village, and you know, hopefully bring this project to a very successful project for each and every one of you here. I really appreciate you being here, and I think what I have is just a little bit of what we kind of do when we get to a point where the design is at a good point and we're all there and we want to show you what it looks like. So this is just a sample of some of the work that we've done for other clients, and we can just let this roll while we disperse throughout. And thank you very much for coming out. We really appreciate it. This will be helpful.
Recorded meetings. If people have questions, though, why don't we do a brief Q&A now, and then you can go to each station and sort of talk more specifically about the different elements of design for the multimodal site. So, sir, you were asking the number of spaces. It's approximately 240 spaces, which is about 100 spaces more than what is at the two surface parking lots that are going to be redeveloped. And I believe you had one other question.
I did, yeah. So I understand that this intermodal site is focused on.
Here, wait. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I understand this intermodal site is focused on cars, personal vehicles, as well as e-bikes. My question is there any way that we can also incorporate accessibility to the train station or bus lines?
That is a really good question. So we're certainly in conversations with Westchester County about the buses. We've talked about different ways that we can use transportation, like a circuit or a trolley type thing. Right now, they are doing that in cities around Westchester. We've talked to a couple of different vendors that have done that, do that for cities. I think that we're going to get close to when the economics work for a village that's more diffuse, where we can partner with other communities surrounding. We're hoping that that does become an option, where we can have more shared mobility options.
Like
And this.
shuttles, say, that can go to the train station and back, so that people are trying to walk up,
Absolutely. So shared mobility, all those things, we're trying to keep an open mind for the future of what the site could be.
Okay,
So,
thank
thanks. I believe you had a question?
So I'm going to pivot off of that and then ask my original question. There are a number of startup companies that are currently building small self-driving shuttles. They're currently used on college campuses and in theme parks, never on public streets. But based on the projected improvements of AI, probably within 12 years, it will be affordable for the village to own and operate one of those shuttles if we want. So my question for your team is, where would there be a parking place for that, or a loading and unloading place? Or is it like, we didn't think past 2030?
Thank you. That's a good question. Well, we're always thinking of those things. So that's a part of the design process. We're going to be looking at and trying to work and integrate all these future, aspects. Ride sharing is big now. Having a location where you can drop off and get picked up is very huge, as far as that's concerned. And, having that plaza area promotes a lot of, okay, I can wait for somebody to come pick me up. I can get, come to this destination and be there. So it's an integration. That's, the intermodal, the whole multimodal idea is that in itself. So, that's a part of what we're looking into, and we'll do our best to integrate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, my original question, when our landscape architect showed the picture that had gather on the right, I wanted to ask if you've considered making some kind of extendable, sort of super large awning, because how are we going to use that gather space, if we want to use it, when it's beastly sunny and hot, or raining or snowing? So have you considered any options to do that, either retractable or just permanently there, maybe semi-transparent? So that's my question.
So that is why we're here tonight. If you have ideas like that, because we're really not there yet, this is an excellent example of input that we can consider when designing a gathering space, or whether it's a connectivity space or meandering space, all of these things. So we encourage you to walk the room, talk to our different consultants, and get those ideas out there. What we will be doing subsequent to this meeting, wait, one more question.
It sounds like the aqueduct trail and ADA compliance and biking are like a big part of this project. So with that in mind, are there any plans in this to make the northern part of the aqueduct trail where it just becomes steps that you can't get, make it so that a bike could get up that, or ADA compliant? I know it's a little bit off-site, but it makes it not accessible from 50% of the side.
The Aqueduct Trail is actually part of New York State Parks. So whatever we do on the actual trail would have to be done in conjunction with the Parks Department. But, you know, we're open to all ideas, and we have relationships, and I think we're all united in a vision of making everything as accessible as possible. But just to be clear, it's another entity, so.
I think it'd be nice to incorporate like partnering with them to really make that, you know, because that's half the people will be entering from that way, and right now it's a bunch of steps. So that'd be very cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so please, again, meander around, and we will also be, we're videotaping this. It will live online. We have a long list of FAQs that will also live online. Please tell people, obviously, we have some people here, but spread the word and tell as many people. You can also send your comments in. We'll have a place to do that on the webpage and the link too. So we'll be getting that information out. Yes, sir.
Sorry, will there be a second session? Because I thought that there was Saturday.
Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yes, we will be doing another session on Saturday for those of you who couldn't come today. So from 10 to 12 here, same location at the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center on Saturday. Yes.
And we'll be posting the slide deck also.
Yeah. Yes, the slide deck too. So the dots go on what you'd like to see, and then we have sticky notes to write comments for ideas too.